The new premium NF-5, basically an F5C copy, is essentially just a better version of the American premium. And if you're looking to get your first premium, this is an absolutely perfect vehicle. The NF-5A has a top speed of 1,717 kilometers per hour at about 11,000 meters in altitude. This is just over 1,000 miles per hour. And if you're on the deck, you can reach about Mach 1 before you can't go any faster. Compared to all the other vehicles in this BR bracket, it is kind of on the lower end of speed, although it's definitely not the worst. And I do also have to point out its engines are actually quite weak, although they are better than the American ones. It's at the bottom of the barrel. So acceleration wise, the F5s are not that good. So for its speed value, it's going to get a 3 out of 10. Moving on over to its agility, the F5s and the NF5 are some of the best in the BR bracket, outpacing basically everything. The only vehicle that kind of beats you in a dogfight is the A5C, and that of course is for its BR bracket. You can face other vehicles that are much more maneuverable if you go up or down. But I think it's pretty safe to say this is probably a top 3 dogfighter at 10.7, so it's going to get a 10 out of 10 for agility. As for its offensive weaponry, you do get 2 20mm cannons with 560 rounds maximum, and you also get access to 2 AM9Ns, which are basically the same exact thing as the AM9J. And those are basically just 20G rear aspect IR missiles that have a pretty decent amount of flare resistance. So overall, your cannons are actually pretty good for this vehicle. It just kind of sucks because you only have 2 missiles, and a lot of other vehicles in this BR carry 4 to 6. But I do have to say the AM9Ns are actually pretty great, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. As for defense, you do carry 90 countermeasures, which you can split, which is pretty nice and better than the United States one. And you do get large caliber countermeasures, which is absolutely awesome to see on an F5. Additionally, you do have an RWR with this vehicle, but you can only see E, G, and I bands, so sometimes when you're up tiered or if you're playing ground, you won't know what's actually detecting you, which is kind of bad. And you're also missing launch detection and tracking detection, which is definitely not good either. So for defense, it's also going to get a 5 out of 10. Moving on over to close air support, you do get access to FFRs, Zunis, 500 pound, 750 pound, 1,000 pound, and 2,000 pound bombs, along with incendiary bombs. And you do have 5 pylons dedicated to cast, so you can take a really good amount of armament. But you do have one absolutely massive weakness. You don't have any type of computers to help you with close air support. So while you have a lot of good options, it does take some practice to get used to CAS. So yet again, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 for CAS. Moving on to features, you do have flares, chaff, RWR, an arrestor gear, and a drag parachute. Notably, again, you are lacking any computerized systems. You have no radar, and your RWR is substandard. So features wise, the NF5 is pretty subpar, 2 out of 10. Survivability wise, the NF5 doesn't really have anything special about it, but it does have some strengths. The airframe is extremely light, and you have 2 engines, and you only need 1 to fly. Otherwise, my only complaint is the fact that your tail kind of gets domed half the time. So I'm going to give it 6 out of 10 for durability. As for difficulty, this vehicle is extremely easy to play, and that's why I believe this is such a really good starter premium. It's super easy to control, there's no complex controls that you have to know, like with radars and stuff like that, and the gameplay is extremely straightforward. You're essentially just going to get into dogfights, which is basically what you do with propeller aircraft. The only downside of this vehicle is you don't have computers for CAS. So with 10 being the easiest, I'm going to give this vehicle a 7 out of 10. As for the fun value, this vehicle really isn't challenging to me, and the gameplay is relatively straightforward, so it's not the most fun vehicle in the world, but it definitely gets the job done. And personally, I do like dogfighting a lot better than boom and zoom. And if you guys have been watching me in the past, you do know I like rockets, and this thing has rockets, so it's going to get a 6 out of 10 for the fun value. As for the worth value, this is a rank 7 premium for France, so it will get you to top tier relatively easily. And it is good overall. It's definitely not overpowered, but there are definitely some positives to this vehicle. Also, it gives players a taste of higher BRs without pushing them right into like Fox 3 spam. So for its worth value, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, especially for the new players. And overall, this gives the NF-5A a score of 56 out of 100, which is a C score on my grading scale.